All right, my name is Wilbur Wilson, and this is my wife Annette. This is a Chuckwagon Cookoff in Abilene, Texas, and this is Breakaway Wagon. We're from Stanford, Texas. We've been doing this. I've been doing Chuckwagon cooking for 28 years. The Chuckwagon is the first meal on wheels. It was first brought out by Charles Goodnight. And the Chuck box was fashioned after the MASH unit during the Civil War. This was the table that they operated on. This is where they had their medical supplies. And he used this wagon, this setup for moving across the rough country. He used a military wagon. And these events are to promote the American Chuck wagon and to keep the heritage alive, and so that people can see the history of how we had to live, how we got here, and what it took to get here. Very hard work. One of the things about the Chuck wagon is what you carry on it. You have whiskey, which is very important for snake bites or late nights that you can't sleep, and then everything that we carried was in a can. You had your spices, had to be, carried away because it's really rough about going across the land. The meat that you carried was either dried or it was something that happened to stumble and be demised and you could use. We have the knives, of course you need a chopping block, and your roll out your dough, and all of your containers had to be covered to protect them from the dirt. And then you needed some relief at night. You had to have some tobacco. All of the wooden spoons, utensils that you use, that's what you wanted to have. Your lanterns, normally you'd have at least two because you needed to see. The Chuck wagon would move from one camp to the other, and they would have to find a place to camp, and that night they would have a meal. The Chuck wagon set up, you point the tongue toward the north, that would, in the morning in the dark, you'd know which way you needed to go. So it was a very important position that the Chuckwagon cook had. And the compartments of the Chuck box is important because you kept your whiskey for your medicinal purposes, and your
snake bites, you said.
And snake bites, if you happen to be so unlucky. The other cans is where you kept your food. Here's where you kept your knives that you were very important in preparing the food. All of your other utensils that you used. The Chuckwagon cook was one of the most important people on the trail drive, because if you don't eat, you don't survive. And they were paid more because of the experience that they had. They had the experience to treat people and to serve food, and they were the mother, the father, the preacher, and if you happened to pass away, they were your pet.
Some chicken fried steak here, and let's start from the beginning. Okay, what's the first step?
First step is to dip in the egg mixture.
Can we see you do it?
Yeah.
Here we go, you dip it in the egg.
And then you put it raw down into the flour mixture. And you pat it in. And it sits here and waits till they're ready to put it on the fire.
Look at this delicious chicken fried steak. These cooking cowboys sure know what they're doing. Can't wait to try it. Got some cooking cowboys here. What are you guys cooking? Oh, I know. Good old chicken fried steak. Yum. And it looks like you're putting more coal on your Dutch oven. What are you cooking in there?
Hopefully it's going to be some biscuits.
Got a secret recipe for gravy here. So we've got some flour, and we're pouring some boiling hot water in the flour. Got salt and pepper and other secret spices that this cowboy cook told me that he'd have to kill me if he revealed them. So I'm just going to video this to see if I can get his secret. This is gravy. Inside the big old white tent where people are coming after they have their Chuckwagon fair, and I've never seen such a sea of cowboy hats before. Everywhere you look, you're going to see cowboy hats.